Coming up on today's episode, especially in a multiple offer situation, it's like this is going to be tough.
But I don't understand why we keep missing out. I do, because you're not ready. No BS here. You're not ready to go.
Yeah.
We're ready because we've got our team.
Dodgy advice and bad decisions can cost you big in real estate. We're here to make sure that doesn't happen. Welcome to the No BS Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Agresta, and it's time to take control of your property journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to the No BS Real Estate Podcast, your listening how-to guide to the Aussie finance and real estate market. I'm your host, Joe Agresta. Now, today's episode is different. Well, one, we're in beautiful Palm Cove in Cairns, and I'm loving it. I'm going to invest here for sure. And we're switching gears and not talking hotspots so much, and we're not talking excuses just yet. We're actually going to talk about what happens behind the scenes when you buy a home and when you buy properly. This is a key element. So if you've ever wondered why some buyers seem calm and strategic and others look stressed and scrambling, then this episode's going to explain why. Today, we're welcoming back Cam Tyers from The Way to Invest. He's investor focused and he helps everyday Aussies scale their portfolios or helps buyers find their first properties. And then we have Ned from Fund Up, and he is a mortgage broker who works closely with investors and understands structuring behind just getting approval. So we're going to have these two. They're the dream team, and I thought, well, why not do an episode together, because then we can have all questions answered. So we're going to get under, I guess, exactly how these guys work together, and then maybe you'll decide whether having this team is going to work for your strategy and buying a home. And if your answer's not yes by the end, I'm going to be very upset. So without further ado, let's go to you, Ned. Ned, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Good to see you.
Oh, of course. Good to see you. Ned, tell us about your experience in the industry and what your business specialises in.
Sure. I started 5 years ago at Aussie Home Loans, very well-known brand. Mm-hmm. Great place to start, great place to learn. But I think if anyone wants to progress and really move out, because there are limitations, then you really do want to go out solo. And I'm sure Cam can vouch for that. And anyone who's started their own business is much, much better in that sense. Most of my stuff started as first home buyers, which I think will fit really well with the podcast. Being Cairns local, I think the period that I started, there was very, very much the capacity for first home buyers to actually get in the market. When I started, house prices were still at 450, 500 in the Cairns area, right? So I specialized very quickly in that area, especially with the new government grants coming out, the first home guarantee scheme, all the bits and bobs. So through that, a lot of those customers that I had initially are now becoming investors, right? They've got loads of equity. Awesome. They want to borrow on that. They want to keep going and moving forward. So that's sort of where I started. That's where I'm at now. And then branching out into also a little bit of commercial, a little bit of asset as well.
That's awesome. So what's really cool about that is you get to see your customers full circle.
Full circle. Yeah.
It's they've invested with you for their first property, all those nerves and excitement.
Yes.
And then they're now coming into, how do I invest?
Yes. I've actually got number 6 for one guy at the moment in 5 years.
Jeez.
So he's done very, very well. He's 29.
Good on him. Good on you for helping him out, which kind of leads perfectly into, well, where does Cam fit into this picture? He's the guy buying the assets.
Well, I try to be in the middle, but I try to be at the end and the start. So, I want to be all over the place, I guess. But I have a way I do things and to make sure that we're on the right path, to make sure that we're ready, set and go. When we're putting in the bids and the offers, to make sure that we're number one and, our terms and conditions are just spot on.
And I guess what I love about today's episode is that, this is where buyers think they're only working with one person. So it's like you have a broker, that's all you're working with. And typically for a lot of Aussie home buyers, that's where they start and where it kind of ends. They do the buying themselves, then they fumble and get a conveyancer probably a bit too late in the piece. And this is like why I want to talk about how did we do this properly? So let's go through the buying dream team. So scenario I'm going to put to the audience. You may be a first home buyer or an investor. Maybe you've got a couple of investments and you want to start scaling. Who's the team you need in your corner to make sure that you're going to buy the right investment? This is a big question. So I'll throw to you guys. Who's on the dream team?
Well, I believe it's from start to finish. So you need your mortgage broker.
Yep.
If you're an investor, it'd be ideal to have an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your conveyancer.
Yep.
You also maybe try and have a building and pest lined up for when post, but that's not probably immediate. And then your buyer's agent. as well. Not in that order. I'd probably start with your mortgage broker, your buyer's agents, your conveyancer, and building and pest, due to multiple reasons. But once you've got that accountant team and all your team together, we're good to go.
I love that. So, and I guess, Ned, on your perspective, would you agree with Cam?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the process often does start with the buyer's agent or the mortgage broker. And I think that's going to come from, I guess, whichever pain point is going to be targeting people. For a lot, it's make sure you're buying the right property, and they'll think, oh, I need to make sure that someone's doing that for me. And I have seen that case. I've had customers that come up to me and said, hey, I've never bought property before. Do you know a buyer's agent? So they've come to me as a mortgage broker knowing that and asked for a buyer's agent first. So I think as far as that team goes, absolutely. Even with an accountant is definitely 100% for investors, especially self-employed, because that is a whole nother kettle of fish. If we're talking self-employed, first-time buyer, accountant, must have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Different strategy and different approach with the banks, I'm
100%. The approach is somewhat the same, but the way that we tackle their finances is very different. And I would say arguably they're really good customers to work with because they've got flexibility. They've got avenues that we can take to maximize their borrowing while still minimizing their tax. Your PAYG is flat. That's the way it is. This is our limitations. But if we get a good accountant under the belt, we can look at everything and say, well, there's actually wiggle room to adjust some things here. We can shuffle the figures around. So that's actually a pretty common thing that we do.
That's awesome. So then, Cam, in your perspective, would you kind of say similar in when you're looking at working with the accountants and a broker, that your customers are a lot more successful?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first talk to a client, one of my first questions is, where do you want to buy? And one of my qualifying questions is, do you have a mortgage broker? So if they do, great, happy to use them. If they don't, I can recommend one, which I do quite often. And do you have pre-approval?
Yeah.
I love going to an open home, and you're always listening in, and people are listening into my conversation too, but I'm just waiting for my house to sell. Well, perfect, because you're not ready.
Yeah.
My clients are ready. We've got our whole team behind us, and away we go.
That would make a big difference, right? And I've even experienced that, like being an advocate myself in the past, 100%. It's when you hear, I have to sell my house first, you already know that condition's not going to fly. Like, especially in a multiple offer situation, it's like, this is going to be tough.
Yeah. But I don't understand why we keep missing out.
Yeah.
I do, because you're not ready. No BS here. You're not ready to go.
Yeah.
We're ready because we've got our team.
Yeah. And this is the important key, right? That everyone in this team plays a pivotal role in the advice and the strategy. And you all work together behind the scenes, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, would you say, like, I think Cam, as the advocate in this situation, you're the one kind of coordinating every single human in it, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, part of my questionnaire is like, do you have a mortgage broker? And then I'll go into the client profile form just to get a bit more of an understanding of what people actually want. And one of that questions is, do you have a conveyancer? Yes, no. Well, if yes, that's great. Perfect. Let's talk to them. If no, well, I can recommend you one.
Yeah.
One that I use, that I trust. And again, do you have a building and pest? Yes, no. Well, if you don't, and you're happy with the one you do, but I can recommend one that I would use.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to bring up a controversial question here because this gets asked a lot, is a lot of buyers out there will go, why would I go with who you recommend? You're just taking a clip of the ticket. So you don't care if my service is good. You just care that you're getting another clip from someone else. How true is that statement?
I love a clip.
Yeah. I haven't seen one.
Still waiting for that. But yeah, I should. Oh, actually, no, I did. I got my building and pest guy. He took me out for dinner at Christmas time.
I think
that was lovely. Yeah. That was nice of him. He's very appreciative of all the business I got for him. But look, as a monetary wise, it's not about that. It's give and throw. So it's, it's not about gaining anything. It's all about our clients. And it might sound a bit like, oh yeah, right, whatever. It's about, okay, I might give Ned some business, but in the back, he'll recommend me as well. So that's how we work. It's not about, trying to get an extra 20% off someone or anything like that. It's just,
give and take.
Yeah, give and take. Exactly.
And how I guess it would be the same for you. Like, you're not getting kickbacks outside of anything
No.
much.
No, absolutely not. And I think the way that we met is I cold called Cameron because I seen his business card up on one of the Coles community board.
Good on you.
And I gave him the buzz and I was like, hey, should we go out for lunch? And I wanted to have that chat with him and say, hey, you working with anyone? Wanted to know what his relationship's worth. And I don't think we ever discussed anything in terms of monetary transaction, did we? It was just, we want to do business together. If I've got people, I want to send them to you. If you've got people, you send them to me. And I think that's probably the best way that we can conduct business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear because I think a lot of people go, nah, then just get clipped with a ticket. I'll find my own. And then what are the risks you kind of see when people go against maybe who you've recommended to work with for whatever reason? They go, oh, look, now my mum and my dad said this broker helped them 15 years ago, so I'm going to use them. Oh, not this broker. Let's say it's this conveyancer or this building and pest guy.
Yeah, I think friends and family are probably sometimes the worst people to listen to. I think we can all agree on that probably sometimes. But look, a lot of people are also trying to save a buck, which is fair. So some customers will come to me and they say, have you got a recommendation for a conveyancer? I say, yeah, absolutely. You should talk to this person. They'll get online and they'll find so-and-so conveyancer for $800. I say, please don't do it. Don't do it. I was like, a lot can go wrong in this part of the process. Like, you need these people to back you up. It's like, if things go sour, is it worth not paying an extra $1,500 for? Of course not.
Yeah. And I think this is where people forget that you're making the biggest investment of your life. It's usually a minimum of $500,000, right, that you're spending to get into the market. You wouldn't do it if you were going to court. If you were going to court, you were getting sued. You wouldn't go, you know what, I'll just self-represent and wing it. You'd be going, all right, might have to mortgage the house and get a lawyer and protect yourself. I always say, think of property the same way. You need representation for your biggest purchase.
Yeah.
And it's a big problem. So let's talk, like, I want to talk about the journey, right? Like, let's fit these pieces of the puzzle. So ideal start, Cam or Ned, take this one. Actually, I'll go to you, Ned, because you're the broker. I would always say start with your broker. Like, before you go to your buyer's agent, what can you buy? How much can you spend?
Yeah, that's right. I think that is probably the biggest qualifying thing of everything, right? I mean, people want to call up and want to know what actually can I do?
Yeah.
And, you know, part of this process as well can be very vague and it can be very intricate because some people, they just want to go, hey, like, how much can I borrow? Like, just tell me. Just tell me what it is. And you're like, this needs to be an in-depth conversation. We need to know exactly how much you're spending. Like, I got a car loan, it's about $30,000. I think it's about $600 a month. It's like the difference between you thinking it's $600 a month and $800 a month is the difference between $50,000 worth of borrowing. Wow. So, you know, there's often I have conversations with first-time buyers and I will give them the basics because they're giving me the basics. And I go, look, this is the basics. It is what it is. But when people ask questions, which I always encourage people to do, ask as many questions as you possibly can, because throughout the process, at the end of it, you're going to go, whoosh, and everything we tell you is going to go, whoosh.
Yep.
So they need to ask as many questions as possible. And when you do that, they realize the process is a lot more intricate and it's a lot more involved than what they probably initially, suspected. So when we get them on board from the start like that, it makes the process easier for us too. So when we make the recommendations for our people and for our relationships, they're more likely to actually jump on board with them. And they're more likely to be a better client for everyone involved. And the transaction is going to be a much smoother process as well.
100%. Because how often would you guys say that having you as a team, like you guys obviously work together, right? How much easier is it for you to coordinate when things happen or things go wrong or, you know, to sort that out for a client?
Yeah. Cam, take it to you.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm always talking to them to find out, okay, what's our max budget? You know? And then I'm keeping them update everyone in the process of what's happening as we go along. You know what I mean? We've put an offer in, Ned knows. This is how much we put the offer in. So then they can get started straight away. If it's an investment, here's a rental appraisal. It just cuts it out, makes time saved for everyone. And then we're all on the same page and away we go. Get it done.
And this is the other thing too, like even from approvals, like or pre-approvals or when you've sent, like I'm sure you've had customers come to you that aren't ready with finance, like you have that part of your questionnaire. What's kind of like your next step when they say, oh, I haven't even looked at my finance yet?
Yeah, it's quite common. And I call them like nurturing. So, and it's a lot of people that haven't done the process of buying before. So for me, it's like, as I said, a qualifying question, and then I'll recommend a broker if they don't have their thing. And then once we know the nitty gritties and said, look, let's work together then. Once you've got that set in concrete, we are good to go. We're qualified. Away we go.
Yeah, I think that's the key element here. It's
people will say, and I know that there's advocates out there, you know, dodgy and shitty ones, right? Let me tell you, that just take any and all business and will take your fee up front before you've even spoken to a broker, and then they mess around with, you know, stuffing you around. What I like about your process though, Cam, is you're asking them and you're saying, don't come back to me until we've sorted finance out.
Yeah, that's right. Because I could be looking at properties and I've done it myself before I got into this business. I'm thinking, I've got 2 properties here.
Yeah.
I can spend 600,000. No worries. That's where I should be. And I went to Adelaide and I'm like, this is where I'm going to buy
Oh my
next.
God.
And I'm like, spent all weekend. I was in Adelaide anyway, so it was good fun. Looking at all these properties around 550, 600. I'd already teed up with my mortgage broker on the Monday. I'd had a conversation where he goes, oh, Cam, probably max 400. I'm like, what? Now, this is rubbish. But I had also now got new, because I'd done what I had to do. Like,
Yeah.
he prepared me and said, oh, look, I thought I could borrow more, but that 400,000 has also made me 500,000 because it gave me an opportunity to invest in a different place where the market's grown a lot more.
Yep.
So instead of investing in Adelaide, I invested in Ipswich back in 2021, Raceview,
Nice.
and yeah, $500,000 left. But I was prepared. Not as excited, but it's worked out well. And yeah, so I was able to get the order in, the offer in time, and I did it myself. This is before I knew much about buyers agents myself. However, I listened to a podcast and I listened like in depth. It wasn't just listening in the car, and I did exactly what they said to do. And it was a hot market then. And it was bang, put the offer in. By the time I got to the pub, it was accepted, and then so it triggered. So,
Bloody
but I
hell.
was ready, set to go.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is why starting off with the finance would
Starting
have
off-
changed probably even if you even went to Adelaide.
That's right.
Yeah. It's like Adelaide probably wouldn't have been a trip that you spent money on outside of family and fun
That's right.
to waste your weekend looking at properties.
Yeah.
Didn't need to.
Well, my broker was in Adelaide.
Oh, okay. So
And I do have an investment there. So it was a good fun trip. And how good's McLaren Vale wines?
yeah, we'll start that one at 8:00, that podcast. And I guess going through the journey. So like once our customer, like your customers have got their finance kind of like in the background process, you're then screening for their debt, like you said, and their position, and they get to a pre-approval. They go back to, this is the ideal point where they can now start to look for property. Is that right?
Yeah. So pre-approval is basically the bank saying, yes, we're going to give you X amount of dollars. Now, it's always subject to the security, which is the property they're looking to purchase, making sure that it's in a suitable location for the bank and that the property isn't a complete dilapidated crap hole.
Yeah.
Right? Because I have seen situations where we sign contracts for a house that didn't have windows or internal doors or a kitchen. The bank said, yeah, we'll do the deal, but you need another 20% deposit in order to get it done.
Really?
But, you know, and situations like that happen when you've probably seen this before as well. Automated valuations, you know, the valuation comes back without ever actually assessing the property. And then something comes up later and they're like, oh, we can see a photo that there's no kitchen in this property. It's not a livable dwelling. We're not going to lend to it. Rare situation. But yes, the pre-approval leads into that stage where it then gives us the flexibility to know exactly what we're able to purchase and where.
Yeah.
Because that pre-approval also comes with a structure. So that structure can be changed down the line. If your plan is to buy an investment property in Brisbane, and that's what everything is set up to do. But if you go, actually, I want to stay here in Cairns, well, that loan is a very different situation for an investment in Brisbane versus an owner-occupier in Cairns. So, you know, but the pre-approval is, I'd say, the biggest step that is the indicator of the property being purchased and secured.
Yeah. And then talk to me about the difference, I guess, between like from both your perspectives of accountant's role in all of this.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna give you a great story because this happened today. I've got a customer. He earns pretty damn good money, close to $500,000 a year.
Yep.
He's set up as a sole trader. Right. Sole trader means he's paying nearly 50 cents on the dollar. Right.
Yep.
I said, why don't you just set up as a company? You know, marginal tax rate's at 25%. He goes, my accountant says I couldn't do that. So I called my accountant and I said, call this guy right now.
Yeah.
He's in the process. They're going to change him over to a company. His tax bill is going to be astronomically reduced. Right. So situations like that for him as a guy who's wanting to purchase a $2.2 million property, this is going to help
Yep.
a lot with his cash
Massively.
flow, everything like that. But he's been set up as a structure for a long time. You know, like if you had the right accountant, they'd be giving you the right advice to maybe be making more super contributions. We'd be looking at a self-managed super fund purchase. You know, like this guy is on the wealth building track, and you're like, we're missing some vital pieces of the puzzle here. So, getting him under the right accountant is just like crazy that we haven't gone down this track earlier. But it happens,
Yeah,
right?
that's
so
right.
that's where I see the value in accounts, especially for self-employed customers, and to explain to people what negative gearing is, because negative gearing for a lot of people, as always, what's that?
I think that's a perfect thing to ask about. And it's from two different perspectives. Like, what is negative gearing from a mortgage broker perspective?
Yeah, as flat out as I can say, the purchasing a property is a business in itself. If it's losing money, then that loss is reduced off your taxable income, whether that be your PAYG or the total income that you earn, right? So if the property is renting for 30,000, but between the interest, property management, maintenance, all that sort of stuff, it's costing 50, that $20,000 loss is reduced off your taxable income. So if you're earning 100 grand a year, you're only being taxed on 80.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Right. So this is one strategy. So Cam, on your end, when you're getting then that asset to purchase, this goes back to strategy at the beginning, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it, generally when you are starting out in your portfolio, you are negatively gearing, and you may be getting lower yields. I always aim for yields like 4 to 6% is ideal. However, what happens is over time, as you're paying down the debt, the rents also increase. You'll go from negative gearing into positive gearing.
Right.
You'll get your depreciation and you get the B&T depreciation. I think that's always a great thing for your internals, which is a great tax loophole we have. I guess it's a loophole.
One of the biggest and the best.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But once you start earning the income, you also reduce your debt. And this is when you're past your building phase and you're reaping the rewards. Unfortunately, we'll probably have to pay tax on your positively gearing, but you're earning money, right?
Well, that's the thing. So it's like, and like you said, you're changing it from you were negatively geared at the beginning and it was benefiting you on the tax side, but that portfolio or that investment is now growing. So it's not a negative thing.
No.
In essence, it's like it's just changed trajectory because it's grown and done the right thing.
That's right.
So interesting. I guess I want to talk about a scenario, and I'm sure, like when we were talking earlier, this is funny. Cam's got a great answer to this one. So I want to lay out a scenario that's very common for the buyers that maybe don't have an advocate. You go to an open on a weekend and you're really excited. You like the property. You want to put in an offer. Now, whether you've got a buyer's agent or not, this is pretty, common scenario. You go, oh, I want to buy that property. Or the advocate goes, oh, I want to put an offer on this property for my clients. They now have to contact the mortgage broker and get that deal to go through. Right. So it's always the phone call of, can my clients do this? Or you as the buyer picking up the phone, talking to the broker going, hey, can I buy this and make an offer? It's X amount of money. Can I do it? Cam, you've got the mic. I'm going to ask you first. How does that kind of conversation go on the weekends when you're like trying to shuffle a deal through at the last minute?
So, it's very time. A lot of things like you need to sign the contract now. It's your best and final. You know the numbers, everything prior. There's someone who's like, they're stalling on time. Well, it's a win-win for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I love people that have to wait because it's less competition for me. That's the beauty of off markets as well.
But it's because you've already done all this work.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So every client that touches my books that's signed on is ready to go.
Yeah. So you're not ever really yourself in the situation of, oh shit, I've got to call the broker on, the day of an open or the day of an auction to make sure that they can do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
I love that because it's not common. I know a lot of, I think a lot of buyers are in that position where on a Saturday they are just ringing through at the last minute. So, going to you, Ned, then what happens on your end?
Yeah. So this is actually pretty common. I'm in this situation now with a guy, and this comes down to loan structure, and the loan structure changes everything, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't realizing that if you go down the investment route, your borrowing capacity is increased exponentially at the cost of your upfront costs being much higher.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So on that, when they make that call and they say, hey, I want to know if I can afford this, if the answer is yes, the answer is yes. But if the answer is no, it's like, how can we make you afford it? And there are things to be done, right, in that situation. And these things can be them changing their living arrangement to them going, I actually have friends and family that live in this region. So I'm going to move my address to there. I'm going to board with them. We've got reduced rent or we've got no mortgage. Both properties become investment. There is a million ways to
Get that deal
skin
done.
that cat, so to speak. So, but yes, it's common, and problem solving, I feel like, is 90% of this job. You know, people want to know, what can I do? If I can do it, how can I get it done?
Yeah.
And then we tell them how to get it done. Some people will go above and beyond. They will just go absolutely crazy. Like, I will move out and I'll move in and board a room at $100 a week if it can mean I can get this property. And they will do it.
Wow.
They'll cut out all their debt. They'll remove everything. They'll bring their living expenses way down to an absolute minimum over a month period, and we can get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's pretty like ambitious on their part, like in a good way.
Super ambitious, but it's the best type of customer because on the other end of that coin, we get customers that come in and go, I'm going to do this. And you go, you're spending $8,000 a month. Come back, reduce that. We'll have a look. They come back and spending $7,000 a month. This is endless cycle.
Gotcha. So, and I guess this is where those strings get pulled. So how many times have you dealt with a customer that doesn't have a BA, which I think would be more common than using a BA?
Yep.
What is the key difference that you see from them not having that part of the team?
Yep. Timeliness. Yep. Absolutely. Setting up a pre-approval especially, which can last anywhere between 90 and 180 days, depending on the bank. So most of them will go to 180 days. And in that scenario, I'd say most people get to between the 90 and 180 day mark before they actually find something. Or they cap out. And that still happens a fair bit too. But I've found when I've got customers that they just can't get anywhere, I just go, just have a chat to Cameron. Like, he'll sort you out. It's like, you're looking for something in this range. You want that house there? He'll go knock on the door for you. He will actually try and find the property that you want. So as far as timeliness goes, that part of the process helps as well. And especially if they are of the investor mindset, specifically, I know I will always take them to Cameron because they want high yields. They want high capital growth. They want hotspot areas. Then that's where you go. Because otherwise they're like, you know.
Well, I think because a lot of people use brokers as a pseudo buyer's agent. They start asking you where to invest and what to buy.
They do. I get people go, do you reckon this is a good buy?
What's your answer to that?
Sometimes I will say straight up.
Yeah.
No. I would say straight up no. I've had a guy sign a contract at a pretty exorbitant price, which is about, I reckon, probably $400,000 or $500,000 over price.
Jeez.
And
Jesus.
I said it to him, and I told his friend, who was also a real estate agent, she called him up and said the same thing. But he's all good. He's fine with it. I've had situations before about it. Another guy a couple of weeks ago, valuation came back in $40,000 shy, and I called him and I said, Gavin, I've got really bad news. The valuation just went $40,000 shy. So I was like, yeah, I'm assuming that you want to pull out of the contract. And he goes, nah, just do it.
I can see Cam over there like bursting. What's your reaction to all of this?
Lost for words.
Your face.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a problem with fees.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I could save that guy $385,000. That might have been handy, or, $25,000. Yeah. Just by smart choices. That's nuts. Yeah. Like, that's another whole investment essentially.
That's a whole property in Victoria, in the Latrobe Valley.
Yeah, that's right.
Cash.
Yeah. Tassie even, it's just nuts. So but why would you pay for someone that's, can reduce your service fees and all that sort of stuff? So I like to make sure that people don't overpay. Yeah. And generally my aim is to include that my fee is free.
Yeah.
Because I can do that with the opportunities that are available. And I remember I had a guy, I think we worked together on him, Darren. So, yeah.
All right, talk to us about Darren, because this is a joint one, so I like it.
Darren's great. Nice guy, anxious guy. He was like selling his house with one of the great agents in Cairns. I highly recommend her. And she's, I knew she was going to get a great price for his property.
Yeah.
He said to me, he goes, I need this house. I want a property in this complex.
Right.
I'm like, thanks, Darren. The best part about Darren is he's a North Melbourne supporter, so we're good there.
What a shame.
In saying that, I had the opportunity to have an off market. So it was the biggest apartment in this complex. It's a really nice complex. I think it's probably one of the best stratas in town as well. It's all really neat. And, pool's amazing. It's a resort style living in a way. And it was the biggest apartment in there. There's 4 bedroom, 2 bathroom.
Wow.
And the offers were going in, because it was off market. I didn't want to pay any more than 7.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he could afford it. We got it for 710.
Not bad.
So it was okay. Then it settled. And then 3 weeks later, another apartment was on the market and that sold for 750.
Oh,
So
that's already 40K up.
we're already 40K up. However, in the new year came past and then we had an auction for it. Next door it was.
Yeah.
3 bedroom, 3 bed, 2 bath, and very similar layout as all these apartments can be.
Yeah, cool.
And an auction for 3 bed, probably about a month, I would say, after, and 760. So he's one happy camper now.
I can imagine he would be. But,
It is.
so then from your end, Ned, so that client came through and Cam was saying he's a bit nervy. Was he like that with you as well? And then how did you kind of help him with that financial side?
Yeah, he was a little bit, and I think he was a little bit anxious getting everything sorted, but we knew that he told me what he thought he'd get for the sale of his home. And Cameron and I looked at each other like, it's going to be a lot more than that. And it was.
Yeah.
So he actually didn't even need to end up borrowing that much money. So from a lending perspective, it was rather straightforward. They did have a little bit of a jam with their employment statuses, but it was so straightforward as far as what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
The amount that they were trying to borrow was so within reason. And now, given that, the amount of equity they'd have in that property now would be exponential. So, if they do come back for round 2, they will be good to go. We've already had that conversation.
They would, I think, have been so surprised because how did who got the client first? Was it you or Cam?
You got the Cameron. Yeah.
Right. So did you refer him to Ned or how did that work?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I had a client, actually Facebook client.
Yep. Nice.
So just bang straight onto it. And he's like, I need a house. And so I reached out to him. We had a quick meeting. Obviously they thought about it and they're like, I said to him, I have got an off market for what you want. So it was a very smooth process. Yeah.
So then when the finance is already sorted and in place for pre-approval, how easy is it then when you've done the offer, handing that to someone like, Ned on your end?
Oh, it's easy. It's just a matter of touching base, signing paper.
Far out.
Because they were in a good position. And as like Ned, we've had that conversation about, and what it's done is it's expedite for him to invest sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? So he's already talked about it. He's got a few other ideas he wants to explore as well. But definitely keeping in contact on options that we can do and working together with Ned again to help them because they're not spring chickens.
Yeah.
But they're at their sort of end of, investing cycle, but their opportunities for them are still very strong for their retirement to become passive income wise.
Yeah, it would be. And it makes a big difference. And this is the contrast I'm trying to paint, right? Is let's say the reverse, when you've got those clients that come to you, Ned, that don't have the BA, then do you find that there's a lot of explaining and stress that they feel because they don't really fully understand what a valuation coming back negatively means? They don't understand, like your clients earlier that you mentioned.
Yeah. Look, there is a little bit of that. And I don't know if particularly maybe this region that we're in is that experience with buyer's agents, I guess, as much as it would be Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, that area. So I found that people are quite content with the process that we normally have. But I think that process is just improved. And in this particular situation, he didn't have Cameron. He might have waited until that one came out for auction and he might have paid $760 for it.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
And we found that value even amongst, our networking group, that when we've got off market stuff, it's like,
it's huge.
Let's make something happen. It's like there's something to be done there. So I think the off market opportunities and what they're willing to do to go out and get the deal
makes a big difference.
Is where the real value is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think then we've also got in this mix, as I said at the start, the conveyancer performs part of this and the building and pest inspector. Now, you guys would experience these guys on different levels. Do you have much to do with the conveyancer in the transaction?
I have a lot to do with the conveyancer in the sense of they will always be hitting me up for when's finance due. as far as that goes, as soon as I send that approval letter, my contact with them pretty much ceases to exist. So I try to not let that happen, because when that communication breaks down, if something goes wrong, they don't even know who the broker is. I don't even know who the conveyancer is. So I have made it a point that for my customers that are based here in Queensland, they use the guy that I recommend, because I see this guy at the gym every morning as well.
Yes.
And he will never call me, he'll never text me. And every morning at the gym, he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, have you got an update on that deal?" And so we've got a face-to-face, it's alive, and it's a very, the process is solidified through that. And I find it so much easier because he's available at my call, just be like, "Hey dude, we need to know what's going on with this deal." So I've found that now that I've got him doing that, all of my clients are happier. There's no breakdown like this. Because I've got other situations where these got clients with we got a triple deal at the moment, and they got 2 settlements and 1 purchase all in the same week or few days. And they're using one conveyancer, the company, but they got 2 different conveyancers, both those deals, and they're not talking to each other.
But that's one of the most common scenarios I find, is when they've got multiple transactions at the one time, then coordinating all those people is a nightmare.
Yes.
And I've been caught out with that myself too. I'm like, as the buyer's advocate, Cam, you could talk to that. Like, you do a lot of the coordination as an advocate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always, and, because I'm buying in different states, coordinating with different types of, conveyancers. So you can get your conveyancers that do Australia-wide. Yeah. I personally avoid them. Yeah. I always go for one that is based in the state. Yeah. Because they know the rules and regulations that are constantly changing. Yeah. So, for example, when I was in Darwin the other day, buying for the client there, I was like, my job is so much easier. Yeah. But the conveyancer you really rely heavily on, because they control the building and pest. Yeah. So I don't even have to worry about that. For me, it's great. But understanding the process, putting the offers in, the contracts being done and sorted is a different process to the way it is here. It's different in Victoria, different in New South Wales. So overall, it's important to have the right conveyancer that knows the process and knows the best due diligence. And I'm constantly following up with them to say, where are we at? Especially when it comes into becoming almost unconditional. I'm like, are we good to go? Is everything ticked off with the building and pest? How's finance going? To make sure that we're all on that timeline.
See, I find that to be like a stress reliever, right? Because I know that even before I was an advocate, so when I built my house, I remember my partner and I divided the jobs between us. So I said, you sort out finance side of things and talk to the broker. I'm going to talk to the broker. That's your job. But I'll do all the conveyancing and I'll coordinate that. For her and I working full time, even though I knew I should just go get a buyer's agent, right? I should just go do it. We opted to do it ourselves because my partner just, wasn't convinced. She goes, no, let's just do it ourselves. Now she's got a different opinion. But back then, she goes, no, I don't want to spend more money. We've just saved our deposit. And this is the battle that a lot of buyers go through of, I've just saved this deposit, or investors going, well, I've already bought one property by myself. I don't need to bloody get some other third party involved. But can I just say from my experience, that was a friggin' nightmare. The amount of shit that went wrong, that we're working full time. We were just busy. Both her and I work full time, trying to manage moving house, and then trying to manage we had the conveyancing, we had a condition in our contract that said they needed to clean the block before it settled. They didn't clean it was one day before it settled. I went and checked the property just to make sure, and it was not cleared. It was all rocks and shit on it. And I'm like, all right, I called the conveyancer. She's now gone into bat, and she goes, basically, you've got 2 options. Either you can ask him to reduce the price of the land and say you'll do it yourself, go very quickly today, get a quote for how much it's going to cost to clear the block, and then come back to me and we'll say it needs to be reduced by X amount, or he's offered to go and do it on Monday after settlement. I knew that was bullshit. I'm like, that guy's not going back after settlement, bloody dreaming. So I went and got a quote for how much it would cost to do. I'm fortunate that my family had a construction removal business, rubbish removal, so I got them to bump that up a fair bit. So it's going to cost a lot. The developer who I bought it off wasn't happy, but he agreed, and we got about $5,000 off the property price.
Yeah.
Now I had a bit of knowledge on what to do.
That's a lot of wood.
Yeah, that's right. It's not much, and it wasn't much. They were like, "You fucking serious?" But no. Yep. But point being that that stressed me out. My partner was very stressed out. She'd never bought before, so she was like, "Is this normal?" And I said, "Pretty normal." But I remember thinking back, if I had a buyer's agent, I could have just done my job and gotten the phone calls like, oh, hey, Joe, yeah, we've bought that land and it's looking good. Hey, Joe, we sorted out that problem. It probably wouldn't have even had a problem with the contract had I had an advocate, because I wouldn't have left it to the day before settlement to go and check it.
Yeah.
And I think this is the key thing I'm trying to deliver in the message here. It's like the team that works behind you, so you can just sit back, virtually relax, or just get updates. Makes a huge
it's funny because
difference.
I had clients recently, and I'd been working for a month because we did miss out a few. But after we went unconditional, that they're like, "Oh, this is so exciting, and it's been so easy," and I'm like, "Are you joking?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Rightio."
But that's a testament to you and you guys, like the fact that you made it easy and understandable. The opinion, oh, this was piss easy. It's like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Cam's like having a flashback montage of all the difficulties.
Yeah, 100%. I can vouch for that. And you sort of forget about what the process looks like for them. But when you sit back and you really think about it, all they're getting is a text or an email from you that says, hey, can you send me an updated pay slip? But on the back end, the bank's like, these figures don't add up. This is going here. And you're like, holy crap.
Yeah,
There's a lot going on.
of
But
course.
yeah, right from the customer's perspective, they're just chilling,
Yep.
sitting back. But
Love
you're
it.
right. The process, the customers don't know what they don't know, especially the first time, around the block.
Mhm.
And we know the things that go wrong, which is why we make the recommendations for people and for them to approach things in a certain way. Because when they go sour, boy, oh boy, do they go sour.
Yeah, because it's also like for you, the buyer, like, and I'm here representing that buyer that doesn't want to use anyone. I'm going to wing it. Winging it is shit, to be honest. And you don't know it's shit until things go wrong. And for you as the buyer, the thing going wrong in your perspective might be something that's so fixable, but because you're not the professional in the space, you don't know how to fix that.
Yeah.
It seems monumental at the time, but it's because you don't know what how to navigate it. Whereas a buyer's agent or a broker will come in, like typically you'll call your broker and go, this has gone wrong. And the broker might have some knowledge of, oh, look, call your conveyancer, they'll sort it out, you know, or call this person, they'll sort it out. And I've had a lot of, other guests on the show that have said, I've had buyers call me, like, actually, I'll give you a perfect example. For one of Abodi's customers, they had the mobile app. This is early days and they were desperate. They went to an auction. They had no idea what they were doing. They bought the house. And before they bought, they didn't know how to offer. They didn't know what to do. It was 2 hours before they're open. They rang one of our recommended buyer's agents on the app and said, I'm floundering. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm panicking. Like, I've got finance approved, but I want to buy the house today. And she's like, do you want me to negotiate or do you want me to do offer for you? I can do it. I've got capacity. And they go, yeah, please. And then they rang me afterwards and they go, that advocate just saved me a shitload of money. And he looked at the investment and said, no way.
Oh,
She goes, this is shit house.
yeah.
And she goes, this is going to be crap. This is 100K over.
Yeah.
It'll go over. It's underquoted on purpose. You are going to get caught out with your finance if you bid here.
Yeah.
And they avoided that and then ended up using her as an advocate. And this is part of your service, Cam, which I think and I want to bring this to attention, a lot of you guys don't know that in Cam's service or some other agents, but namely Cam, they segment their services. Like you do negotiation only. You don't need to spend the full whack if you don't want to with an advocate.
Right. Yeah, I do negotiation only. I do auction bidding as well. And sometimes they fall under the same umbrella. But essentially what that involves is you've gone out, you found the house you want. I'll help you with the due diligence still because I want you to make the right decision. And I can still give you all the, advice that you need. But when it comes to the negotiation, and currently working with some clients now, and they're like, and this guy, I've known him for years. I've worked with him as a nurse and really nice couple. But he's come along. He's like, oh, Cam, I want to use you. I want to find the house. I'm like, perfect. It's owner occupier, so it's good. But can you do the negotiation? But can you educate me as well? And this guy, he's got a couple of investments too. And I'm like, yeah, mate, no problems at all. I find it fun. I love the negotiation part. So we've done it, and I've done 1 or 2 auction bids for him. But getting the negotiation done prior to make sure that it's done properly and the strategy plan, he's like, oh, Cam, I didn't realize that this was half of the stuff that you did.
Yeah.
He goes, I thought it was just bidding. And he's like, oh, why are we catching up for a strategy plan before the auction?
Well, no, there's a big
There's
strategy
a massive
behind
plan.
auction.
Like, yeah, we can just keep bidding and throwing money away. And then you go to your broker and he's like, oh, sorry, mate, you missed out. And then we're screwed because you've just signed a contract saying that this is your house now. Or, you know, have you got your building and pest done prior to, not that you can sort of do much with it, but you know that, well,
You know
I've
what
got
you're
to
up for.
spend an extra $50,000 on what this property needs. So I'm just going to cap my max budget at that. You know what I mean? So just do due diligence prior, but also having the thought of, well, if we put in a cracker offer, they might take it off the market and just accept our offer.
Yep.
But he's like, I didn't think of this. So,
Yep.
and fair play to him, he's not supposed to know. But when you have people on your side that do know these things, this is the advantage of having it.
Makes a big difference. And I think this is like part of what, like, without trying to say to all our listeners, like, if you don't have any support, you're a dumbass. No, go and do it yourself. But when you start to hit those like early barriers, like, you know, in finance or even questioning if you've got the right professional, which I think is a whole other problem, you know. Your example, Ned, with the accountant was a really good one of that he had the wrong structure in place. The right accountant would have picked that up and said, this is what you should be doing. All right. So, you know, for you, Ned, like what's your advice to those out there who are probably listening going, my broker hasn't said any of the stuff that you're saying, like, or my broker hasn't even gone through this with me.
Yeah, look, I think especially in that situation when those customers are picking up on those things, then great, because that's a very different situation. A lot of people, especially for the first time, what their broker tells them, they take as gospel.
Yeah.
And that's
the problem.
How we get out of that, I don't know.
This podcast, hopefully, because I'm like,
well, that's right.
I only want to put the right people in front of you guys for a reason.
Yeah, that's it. And look, I think it comes down to as well, doing your own research, speaking to friends and family are good for recommendations for people. That can be good. But getting the right person, 100%. Look, I know brokers out there that will never discuss the things that I'll discuss with customers, which is crazy.
Why is that, do you reckon?
I think a lot of it is that they're worried about stepping a little bit too far outside of the circle of what's acceptable. I love to skip on the outside of the circle, right? There are so many things you can do. If someone says they want to buy an owner-occupied property and they go, no, can't do it. I'll say, let's look at it as this. Let's try and restructure it as this. You can move into the property after this amount of time. Like, we've got this much cash. Let's actually problem solve. Let's try and get you into the property. Let's make a strategy that's going to work for you instead of just saying that you can't do it. I got a call from a guy today and he said, my broker said I couldn't do this. I said, yes, you can. He said, it's not a very big loan. It's not going to pay a lot of money to do it, but you can do it and I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And I think it's those relationships. Like, again, I always say this about real estate and property in general. The real estate industry is not actually about property. It's actually about people. Professionals and people is like fundamental and relationship building. It's like, I know that when if I've got someone in Vic, which I actually referred someone to you, Cam, right? Like, so I got a podcast listener that called in and said, I need a hand. And I'm like, actually, where are you looking to buy? What do you want to do? And then he started asking me questions and I said, look, I can give you all the advice you want, but at the end of the day, I'm not an acting advocate anymore. I can't go in and negotiate, but I have Cam that I'm going to send you to. And it's just being able to refer someone to a good professional that I know when I send someone to Cam that he's going to look after them and give them the right guidance. And it's not about doing every deal. I think there's a really bad rap that, you know, it happens everywhere. Bad professionals give all that whole brand a bad name. So it's like real estate agents have a really shit reputation because unfortunately a lot of them are living up to that brand. But then you find a really good agent that does all these right things. And for us as professionals, we hang on to them. Like you said straight away, Cam, you got someone that you love as a real estate agent here. Yeah,
I've got a few. Like, there's quite a few agents that I use. And, well, you know, if the right property comes along and, you know, I've got relationships with a lot of agents up here. And I always put on the whole thing with agents, it's about integrity. Because just because you're looking after your sellers, but if you've got the same buyer coming in over and over and over, instead of like being selfish and saying, oh, look, once I have got a place, I'll give you a call. Well, why not give them to a buyer's agent? And that shows integrity to me. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't think that way. No. They're like, oh, that's a potential buy because a potential buy is then a potential sell for me later on. And I'm like, okay, well, you hold that. But I know that there's a lot of agents out there that I've built out relationships with that I do get referrals from. And I do my best to help them. But I also explain to them that just because you're giving me a client doesn't mean I'm buying off you.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
they're like, no, that's fine. Like, it's because you're helping a buyer to get in. So that reflection on them also looks good.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because that seller was able to help a buyer, and they're appreciative of that too.
No, that's amazing. I love that. And, we're coming to the end of our episode, which I always find blows my mind because I'm like, oh, but I have so many more questions. So one thing I want to ask is, let's say what if someone doesn't use a team, right? So if someone insists on going it alone, they've listened to this episode, they're like, I still need to give it a crack by myself. What mistakes are they most likely to make, and what steps would you want them to take? And we'll start with you, Cam.
Look, you've got the option in Australia, go it alone.
Yeah.
But if you make a mistake by not buying in the right area for an investment, you're overpaying for the property. If you can find out the flood zones and the bushfire zones and all that sort of stuff, but if you're buying a flood zone, like there's certain parts in Cairns I won't buy.
Yeah, because they're at the flood zone.
Just flood zones. Sometimes they're not flood zones, but you're cut off.
Yeah.
So if you've got to work at the hospital or a fire brigade or a cop, you're taking weeks off because you're stuck. But, it's just having that knowledge behind you. But yeah, again, if you can do it and you feel like you know what you're doing, but reach out to advice from people. Do not suggest family and friends are always going to give you the best advice. And there's nothing wrong with paying people to do things. You're going to save money and a lot of time by hiring the right people behind your back that are working for you. And I want to see people succeed.
Yeah.
Because to me, if I've got a client that is not happy with their purchase and I bought them for something that I thought was good and now they've lost 20 grand on their property, well, I've failed.
Yeah.
I haven't had that yet. I've had clients that haven't always been 100% on my service, but when they see that $100,000 or that $60,000 in 6 months, they're kind of okay with it.
Mm.
But if it was the other way around where they've lost money, well, then that's not me doing my job. So get the right person, the right team behind you, and you'll succeed.
Yeah, I love it. Sound advice. And Ned, to you, going on the financial side, same question again, just a quick reminder, like what mistakes are people likely to make?
Yeah. I think the biggest one is going back to your own bank. A lot of people live under the illusion that your bank is the best place to go to, but you have to be aware that the bank knows you. All right. They've got all your spending habits. They know all the weird subscriptions you got and all the unusual things you're paying for and spending $2,000 on a Pokemon card. All right. And you go back to them, you say, I want to borrow this much money. They go, well, you spend this much money. We can actually work with that and we can give them a budget. We can stretch it around. And the other thing is, especially if you're a first home buyer and more than just a first home buyer, every bank policy is so different.
Yeah.
Right. The one size doesn't fit all. And if someone comes in and they say, my bank said I couldn't do this. We go, I know 3 banks that can do that.
Yeah.
All right. The banks are really flexible. Some banks will offer things that other banks can't. And for first home buyers, if you don't use the right bank, you're probably going to lose 25 grand right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. No, thank you for sharing, guys. And I think, for our listeners, just to summarize what we've covered today, buying isn't a solo sport. Having a team is going to make a very big difference, not just from a stress and emotional purchase perspective, but I think just in general of you want that process to flow. You want to buy the right asset. You want to make sure you've got your finances in a row. You've got the conveyancer and, building and pest all sorted in there and your buyer's advocate and your broker, and just make it an easy process. Don't make it tough. Don't start backwards already from the, step one. And, structure today affects your borrowing tomorrow. So buying the wrong investment is detrimental. Whether that's from buying it through your own means and then having finance structured the wrong way.
Yeah.
What's the biggest financial mistake you see investors make early, and what's your advice to them?
Investors make early, probably not debt recycling. Debt recycling is a big one, especially for investors who are securing multiple properties. Your assumption is that their income is large and that they're using that income or using a cash deposit for a new purchase. If they've got an owner-occupied property, then I would suggest we use that cash to reduce your owner-occupied debt, and we borrow back against that for investment purposes, right? So maximizing the tax-deductible debt. Look, there are a few smaller things you could probably do, but I'd say that's a big one that we see a lot.
Yeah, good advice. And Cam, over to you. If someone's listening that wants to start building their property portfolio, what's the first mindset shift they need, and what's your advice to them?
Well, the first thing is I would be getting your deposit ready. Don't try and overpay for what you're going to get into the right spot. But yeah, get all your ducks lined up in order. Contact me and we'll contact you a mortgage broker. And then we can get the ball rolling to make sure you make that right investment start off. You know, your first home's not always your dream home.
No.
Guarantee you right now.
Yeah.
I'm selling my first home because of my strategy, but that's, it's not your dream home, but it's definitely a vehicle to help you grow your portfolio.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you both so much for sharing your insights and how you operate together. I love the stories.
Yeah.
No.
Good to be out here.
Good to be out
Really
here.
hot, though.
It's bloody hot. I'm so sorry. I can't help that. It was Cam's idea to go outside. But no, look, to be honest, guys, if you're serious about building wealth through property and this is a strategy you want to adopt, the biggest takeaway today is don't go it alone. So Cam's details are on screen and in our show notes below. And same with Neb from Fund Up. His details are on screen and in the show notes below. And if today helped you understand the structure behind buying a home, follow the podcast for more No BS breakdowns. And we'll catch you next time on the podcast. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. It's been fun.
That's a wrap for this episode of the No BS Real Estate Podcast, powered by Abodi AI. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. If you're looking for more guidance on your home buying journey, you can visit www.abodi.com.au for expert advice, property insights, and the tools you need to find the right home with confidence. If you're already on your journey, you can also download our app. Just search Abodi AI on the App Store or Google Play. Have any questions or want to connect, you can follow us on Instagram at abodi.com.au or send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next episode.